Joe Thuney just got locked up to a 2-year extension. We break that down and talk about what they can do with the extra cap savings next on the Unbearable Sports Podcast.
I'm going to take the North and never give it back.
So that's a good pick. You get the corner. I got to go bold, right? I got to go bold for this.
Yeah, she's got some nice.
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're out there on YouTube. And also rate the show 5 stars everywhere that you get your podcast. What is going on, Bears fans? Now, I was waiting till Wednesday to kind of drop a show, but with the new news about Joe Thuney, I wanted to make sure that we break this down because there's a lot of different things that are going on with this that we'll break down. We'll talk about the extension. We'll talk about what this means for the offense, and then we'll break down kind of that extra cap space that we're getting off of this deal. And then also, last but not least, what are we going to potentially do with that extra cap space? Are we even going to do anything with that cap space? If you think about something, if you have something in mind, let me know down below in the comments if you are out there on YouTube. But hey, let's get right into this. Joe Thuney extended 2 years out. So basically 3 years, $51 million is what's being reported, and $33.5 million guaranteed. Also, at 17.5, supposedly it's 17.5 million per year. So it might be a little bit more than what they're having. Maybe it's 52 million or 52 and a half. But we'll see. Right now, the numbers say 3 years, 51 million, 17.5 million per year, which doesn't make too much sense right there. But anyways, as we go through this, big thing, right? This is something that we were expecting. I've kind of talked about this on the show before. Ryan Poles has been quoted saying that they were expecting to get something done, and now you lock him up. And I think that the biggest thing here is you're locking up not just a all-pro level guard. You're locking up a leader, someone who's only missed 2 games throughout his career, someone who's been asked to move over to the left tackle position. And yeah, he's not a left tackle. He's an okay left tackle, but he's an all-pro level guard. So he's going to be able to play at that guard position. Now, the other piece too, he's going to be 33 this year. And so you're going to have him for 3 years, going all the way to age 36. So mild concerns with that, but nothing too crazy because guards, like true great guards like a Kevin Zeitler, Joe Thuney, they're able to then go throughout their career and go farther and farther and farther. So he locks us up, looking for more of that longevity and just knowing that, hey, this is where I want to be and this is where I want to grow. But also too, the other piece that I want to break down is that whole $17.5 million. Where that puts him is number 10 as the highest paid guard, which to me, this is something that I just feel with Ryan Poles. I don't know if anyone else feels this way, but Ryan Poles is really good at these extensions. Like with Cole Kmet, there's not a lot of guaranteed money with Cole Kmet, and also he was paid like the 10th highest tight end at that time. And right now, Joe Thuney getting paid like the 10th best guard that's out there. Now, age does factor into that, but still, he plays phenomenally well at that guard position. And we also saw it with Jalen Johnson. You do see these incredible extensions that I feel Ryan Poles is able to kind of land. And I think that this is just excellent. We gave him a lot of guaranteed, a good chunk of guaranteed money. But really, when you're looking at some of the others, Trey Smith at basically $23.5 million a year, Landon Dickerson at $21 a year, Lindstrom $20.5, Robert Hunt and Nelson at $20, and then Robert Banks going to the Packers at $19.25. To me, love this. Love that the Bears got him at that $17.5 million per year. So awesome stuff across the board. Overall, I love this deal. I think that this is great. And the big thing, and I tweeted this out, something that I am so impressed with what we're doing at this offense. First off, you have your offensive mind of Ben Johnson, and that can be paired with your quarterback in Caleb Williams. But also, this offense is really locked in. So Caleb Williams, 3 years of very, very low salary from a quarterback position. Yes, he can get the 5th-year option. That's a little bit higher. But the big thing that I want to call out is just how this offense, the key contributors are locked up. And what I mean by that, look at the wide receivers. DJ Moore is locked in for 5 years with the Chicago Bears. You can cut him after 3, but he's locked in 5 years. Then you have Rome Odunze, still has 3 years and a 5th-year option, so 3 to 4 years. Luther Burden just got drafted, so 4 years, right? So your wide receivers, top 3 wide receivers, are here for at least 3 years. you have them for 4+ years, basically. 2 for 4-year deals and 1 for a 5-year deal. Like, just absolutely insane. And then you go to tight ends. Just drafted Colson Loveland, and Cole Kmet has 3 years left on his deal. Now, obviously, you can still cut people and other things like that. But when you go to the offensive line, Joe Thuney, Drew Dahlman, Jonah Jackson, and Wright, assuming you pick up his 5th-year option, all are here for 3 years. And to me, that's what I really, really like about how they're assembling this offense. Your 2 tight ends, your 3 wide receivers, and 4 out of your 5 offensive linemen all have at least 3-year deals. All lines up with Caleb Williams. So you kind of have this familiarity. They can all learn. They can all grow together. And then when Caleb Williams' contract, hopefully everything's good and we have an awesome offense, then you can decide who stays, who goes, what do we do with this position? What do we do with our offense? And that's what's really great. Now, I know we all kind of focus on the left tackle, the running back position. We still have DeAndre Swift. We still have Braxton Jones. Braxton Jones just 1 year left. DeAndre Swift, 2 years left on his deal, but it feels like he's kind of getting pushed out a little bit, maybe after this year. But really, this is where it's exciting, because now, like, why I was kind of like anti-Darnell Wright going to the left side, you kind of see it. Ozzie, Karan, Braxton, fight for that left tackle position. Let's see if any of those people show what they can do at that left tackle position. At the running back position, you kind of have some musical chairs. Let's see what Manan guy can do. I still think that Swift is going to be very good in this system. I just think you can do better. And Roschon Johnson, hopefully he can stay healthy. But really, it's an exciting time to be a Bears fan, because you have all these players locked in. They can all grow around Caleb Williams. Caleb you don't have all these 1-year mercenary players that are just kind of in it for themselves. Your starting lineup is invested in the Chicago Bears. Your coaching staff is invested in the Chicago Bears. Just really, really cool stuff across the board for us Bears fans. So it's good, but it gets even better. And what I mean by that is the cap space. Now, we do not have the official numbers, but this was reported by Greg Gabriel, who is a good friend of Mike McCartney, the agent of Joe Thuney. And he used Mike McCartney as his actual source, the agent of Joe Thuney. So that's key in this. So supposedly with this deal, it's going to lower the cap, his cap number from 16 million all the way down to 8 million this year. Now, this was a strategy that we talked about when trying to add more talent. You can re-sign Thuney, push the salary a little bit farther down the road, and then you can add some people this year. And that's kind of what they did with DJ Moore, is they did that. And actually, quite frankly, now that I'm thinking about it, they didn't actually add anybody when they did that with DJ Moore. So now, with all this, right, when you free up the cap space by re-signing Joe Thuney, saving $8 to $7.5 million per year, now the Bears are going to have to re-sign or sign all their rookies. There's only, I think, 3 left, but I remember looking at the numbers. You're probably going to be added onto that around an extra 1 to 2 million when you factor in the people that are off the top 51. So really what that's going to look like is the Bears should have around 13 to $14 million in cap space. So now, what do they do? And like we said last year, they didn't really spend it because that cap space can roll over if necessary, can roll over to the next year. And now you have extra cap savings the following year, which is what they ended up doing. So it doesn't mean that they're going to add anybody, but they could. So immediately, as us Bears fans do, we go to Trey Hendrickson first, then we go to the running backs and everybody else that we could potentially add. So I know a lot of you have this question out here. What does this mean for Trey Hendrickson if the Bears are in fact interested? Now, I talked about what Big Z said yesterday, or 2 days ago, when he reported that, hey, he doesn't think that the Bears are going to be in just because of the re-signing, other things like that, especially if it's just a first-round pick. But if it's a second, like he didn't say no, but, he's still like, yeah, type of deal. But if it is a second-round pick, I feel like the Bears could still potentially be in on it. Not saying they are or anything like that, but this is a player they need a defensive end. And if it's just for a second, quite frankly, I don't mind that. But yet again, let's kind of go down this whole rabbit hole of Trey Hendrickson and how they could actually make this work. So let's say hypothetically, it is a second-round pick, because to me, that's awesome. So what the Bears could do, because they have to free up to $16 million, because you have to have the cap space in order for Trey Hendrickson to be able to come over to your team. So the way they can do that is they would have to either cut someone or restructure a contract. I think honestly, this might be then the time. If I were them, I would restructure Jalen Johnson's deal, because Jalen Johnson, when you look across the board with your players, you feel the best about. He's been a solid contributor season after season. He's a leader. He's someone that just you want to have in that locker room. So to me, if you are restructuring any deal, it's with Jalen. You can save up to $10 million. We'll just take like the $3 million, $2 million, whatever it is. Then you can make the Trey Hendrickson deal happen. You trade for Hendrickson, and then you would do something similar to Joe Thuney. You would then sign that extension, and then you would take that $16 million cap hit. You'd slice it down to whatever you might want, like $8 million. Say that it's exactly the same exact thing that they did with Joe Thuney. You slice that down, and then you have your cap space that you need for this season, but then all the other money is then the following seasons. So you're not gonna be pillaging, free agency, which quite frankly is probably good, because Bears have not had a great track record in free agency. So I'm more than fine with that, but it would be interesting. That's how you would actually get the Trey Hendrickson deal done. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, what do you think? Would you do that if Trey Hendrickson is just a second and maybe a day 3 pick is what some are speculating that they might come down to? Yet again, they still could just end up re-signing Trey Hendrickson, but the Bengals just seem to be in just a whole mess of chaos. Their rookies don't want to sign with them. Trey Hendrickson's not going to sign with them. Like, the Bengals are just in a bad situation overall. So that's what it would take in order to get Trey Hendrickson. In my personal take, I would love to see it. I seriously would love to see it as a Bears fan. We haven't seen it out of Adayo Adengbo. They're really kind of banking on upside, but you're banking on upside for a player. And then your backups, that's the thing, is like you don't really have any backups that are out there. So let's say you don't go Trey Hendrickson. There's still some rookies, right? If you have $13 to $14 million, you can, or not rookies, some free agents. You can still add some free agent defensive ends. And we've talked about this before. There hasn't been much movement on the defensive end free agent market, but there's still Von Miller, Matt Judon, Preston Smith. Zadarius Smith is kind of the big name that still seems like he's going to go over to the Lions, but I know a lot of people, myself included, would love to see him just make the hit for the cycle and go to every single NFC North team that's out there. And I still think that when he was with the Lions, he had a lot in the gas tank still. He was performing very well. He understands the divisions, everything like that. And come on, if I'm Zadarius, I might be like, it would be fun. It'd be fun to just say that you played for every team in the NFC North and just have a home up here, right? He could go anywhere. He could go to Detroit. He could go to Minneapolis. He could go to Green Bay. He could go to Chicago. And everyone wouldn't mind Zadarius Smith. But besides him, Emmanuel Ogbah, Jerry Hughes, Shaquille Barrett, Carl Lawson, Tyus Bowser, James Houston, and I got to throw him out there, DeMarcus Walker. I don't expect him to be re-signed, but I wanted to just put him out there just as, hey, this guy still has not signed with the team. And this guy was our starter last year, right? I just want to put that into perspective. One of our starters still is sitting out there unsigned. But really, I think other players, if the Bears want to go with the Matt Judon, he had a very bad year with the Falcons, but he might want to just come in a little cheap and try and do something with this Bears defense. But yet again, larger, bigger veteran that might be out there. Now, at the same time, I've heard that the fight back against this, right? You don't necessarily just want someone that plays on these mercenary deals. And also, I forgot to include also Jadaveon Clowney, someone that just got released that I also really, really like. But at the same time, do you want someone that is going on these mercenary deals at the defensive end spot? Or do you want someone that can be someone that you can trade for, like a Trey Hendrickson, and then be that person that you know is going to be here in that time frame that you have with a Caleb Williams? Because my guess is Trey Hendrickson would probably get a 2 or 3 year deal just with that extension as well. So still some pretty good people that are out there, but man, we need a defensive end. We need some form of backup. Austin Booker and Hardy don't make you feel too good going into the season, knowing that those guys are your backups at that defensive end spot. So now, last but not least, another position that they might want to add. This was the big one. Besides all the Trey Hendrickson speculation, Nick Chubb. Everyone was joking that, hey, Bears are now finally going to be able to add Nick Chubb, and they could. Nick Chubb just released a new video. I actually should have grabbed that for the show, but many of you probably have already seen it. I don't know. I'm not fully bought in on Nick Chubb. I saw him last year, with the Browns, and it's tough to come back. It's really, really tough to come back when you're hitting 30 and you're running back. Like at that age with Nick Chubb and the injuries that he's gone through, he just seemed like he was missing a step. And, we've seen James Harrison at 50 now, deadlift so much weight. It's not about how much you lift. It's about the explosiveness, the quickness that you have to have. I don't know. I'm still iffy about Nick Chubb. I still want to see what Monangai has. And still, if anything, if we were to add anyone, I still lean towards a J.K. Dobbins as someone that, yet again, not a great. That's the thing. All these running backs: Jamal Williams, Gus Edwards, Nick Chubb, Cam Akers, Jeff Wilson, J.K. Dobbins, Chase Edmonds, Amir Abdullah, Naheem Hines. All these don't necessarily move the needle. There's not a needle mover of these running backs. All those have been eaten up. Jamal Williams would be fun, but yet again, they don't move the needle. So my take on any of this, I still stand. I don't really want a running back. If with all this money that we just kind of walked into now, to me, it's, can we add a defensive end? Can we add some help on that defensive line? Because to me, I think your running back position is adequate enough. I don't think you need to add another just potential okay piece unless you add Nick Chubb for low guaranteed money just to see if he has anything in the tank and you can just see how he's running. I don't mind that. Just bring him in for a tryout or something along those lines. But then obviously Hendrickson's going to be the name to watch until basically training camp is going to be when Trey Hendrickson is going to be still on our discussion boards. But still, the Bears don't have the most cap space in the league. They just have slightly more after this deal. So overall, love the Joe Thuney extension. You kind of have everybody getting matched up. So good work by Ryan Poles. But like I said, let me know what you think down in the comments if you're watching out there on YouTube. And also make sure to hit the like button, subscribe out there for all your Chicago Bears content. Also, make sure to download the podcast. You can rate it 5 stars. It helps the show out tremendously. Hope y'all have a great weekend great week. And with that, Unbearable Sports Podcast, we are out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair, and you know that she's a bad chick.